What's up, everybody? Good morning. It's cold out here in New York. Very cold right now. It's gonna snow this afternoon for the first time. But I wanted to do a little recap with you guys real quick of my psychic investigation yesterday at the North Salem Megalithic sacred site. I don't think this was just a glacial erratic. I don't think it was just a random occurrence from the Ice Age. I do believe it was a place not only of worship, but of sacred technology that we've long forgotten. And if our military and governments of the world are aware of this technology, morning, mate, then they definitely keep it for themselves and they have weaponized it in a negative way. So, what I believe this rock is electromagnetic pulsating anchor of energy, and that's the best way I could describe it. Now, of course, yesterday was very interesting. I went there, just subconsciously. I didn't even plan it that it was supposed to be the 11:11 alignment, but I didn't even realize it was 11:11. And then I'm driving there, and I'm getting there right at 11:11 in the morning, and I did it just naturally, you know. And when I was there, I felt like a solar alignment was taking place, and I was there for a reason. Now I could have like taken out my guitar and tried to change a little bit of the energy of the place, but there was a couple there that, of course, I'm not judging them in any way, and maybe some of my comments did in a way, but you know, I've been certain places in life where I'm not proud of, and I could tell that this girl, she had probably just gotten out of rehab, or there was something going on where she was definitely living at her budget, out of the budget van with all her stuff, and she looked either really really high or really really medicated because she was slurring and all that shit. But she seemed like a cool girl. I mean, she seemed troubled at the time, but she was there for 11:11, and I guess somehow she met up with an old guy. Like, I don't know, I didn't ask, but it seems like that she just got out of rehab and she called somebody to come meet her. That's what it seemed like to me. And I didn't ask her, but that's what it seemed like. And she had this guy. She was probably in her late 20s, early 30s. And this guy that was there with her probably was in his late 50s, early 60s. And she was like doing some sort of ritual she had a long like witch hat and red candles and all her stuff underneath, sleeping bags all underneath the rock. So I didn't really want to lay underneath there anyway after all that right there. I didn't even have any sage with, actually I might have had sage in my trunk, but I would have wanted to like light sage and do like a long almost like exorcism on the spot before I wanted to lay there again. It was really chaotic energy that I felt coming off of her, and the guy, I just felt like he was trying to get laid. And but I was talking to the guy for like 5 minutes, and I showed him some megalithic books that I have, and I blew his mind with some of my visions that I've had about red granite. And actually he hadn't heard about my radio show, and he had seen a podcast of mine when I was on Lead Project, so he actually knew about some of my work, and didn't know me by face, but he knew my name. And I showed him about some other spots in Massachusetts and Ulster County, New York, and other places like that, because he wanted to drive another place. He had his own car, and she had some budget van, and she was like, there was just piles of junk in the back of it, like trash and stuff. So she's probably been living out of there for a while. I didn't ask any questions, and I tried to wait them out, but they were in a sleeping, like, but when the time I left, they were literally in the same sleeping bag together, like holding each other underneath there, and she wasn't wearing nothing but like an overall and rollerblades. So like I felt like she was a tweaker or something. So I caught a glimpse of the van when I was walking in my car, and I was like, you know, I'm not gonna. They were like, oh, we'll move out from under here anytime you want, and you can do what you want. Because I told the guy I wanted to charge one of my crystals there, but It's all good. I'm gonna go back there another time. But like, part of me wanted to grab my guitar from the car and just start playing music while they were laying underneath there and try to like change the vibe of the place. But I felt the energy off the guy. He wanted to get laid. He wasn't trying to have me around there. So I gave them their space for a little while. I tried to wait them out to see if they were gonna get up, and then I was gonna hang out. But it was probably best that I didn't lay underneath there, and it was probably best that I didn't charge my crystal there that day, because last time I went there, and for those of you that are just joining, yeah, I do sound healing with my shamanism course. Me and Frank Castle are actually going to do shamanism uh, retreats where we basically pull evil out of people, pull the bad out of people, and part of it is with me playing music as well. And I use music as not only healing, but it could be a weapon. It could be a line of defense against spiritual forces. I sometimes, when I've felt spiritual attacks, I've grabbed my guitar and just, all right, let's go to war, and just played my heart out and sang and just broke that vibe trying to attack me. Got out of that zone, so it could literally be an axe. That's why they call it the axe of the gods, because you can tap into interdimensional time and space, and you could cross over to the other world through music. So yesterday was very interesting. This spot, um, I've been there once before, and if those of that are just joining us, it's at North Salem, New York, and it's called the Balanced Rock. Some call it the Cat Stone, some call it a glacial erratic, but you could see in the picture, in the thumbnail, and in my prior uh, videos. Now the long video I did yesterday, if you caught it live, that's good. It's not. If not, it's only available to my patrons. That's patreon.com/the mystical spiral. I have like almost a half-hour video of my psychic investigation, things that I've received, information that I received about it, about red granite, how red granite was made, by whom, and how, like, and how they were doing it, and also my psychic cognitive blueprint of that area, and what I feel like, what was coming to me about this. And I was led to this site, and you could see in the thumbnail, like, before I go on, the picture of it. It's 60 to 100, maybe even more than 100 tons of pink granite, not from anywhere around this area, and it's balancing on like little fingers, like almost like a little, like even something if you would want to put Lennox on, like some sort of Lennox, or some sort of Lennox plate where you have it on a little tripod or something like that. It almost looks like it's like that, or it could be almost like giant's fingers coming out of the ground holding a skull or a head. It's balancing, like barely touching these smaller little rocks. And it was Roger from Mud Fossil University that suggested to me that this maybe was a living heart at one time that was molded, and you can even see the back of it, and the way it's shaped. It could be some giant heart. And because I told him that I believe that it was once alive, and he goes, yeah, for sure it was. It was probably a heart. Um, so when he said that, it seemed like it could be right to me, and I felt like it was body before, like it was living, breathing flesh at one time. That's when I touched it. That's what came to me. I saw a living, breathing creature, and I felt like this stone was, whatever was inside this stone was once alive. It was once biological. And if you do your research on granite, and I've been doing more and more research on it for the last couple of years since I've been, getting into this red granite in specific, and I've been researching obelisks. I've been writing a book on obelisks for the last year and a half, collecting data, and I have like 200 pages almost written for the book, and loads of pictures and stuff. I focused on a lot of the red granite obelisks that were taken from Egypt and brought to Italy, and other ones throughout the world I mentioned in there as well, and different spiritual technology that I believe they are. I even have bits and pieces in there that talk about obelisks that were places that they no longer are, and also obelisks that are possibly even on Mars and the moon. So red granite, I believe, was once living, breathing flesh that somehow The visions that I was getting was that they were extracting metals from it and pushing it out like Play-Doh, just spinning it and gyrating it. And I talk about this in the video that I did yesterday. You can find a little 4 or 5 minute clip that I put this morning up, of that video that I didn't do live, a little short clip that I did when I was there, right here on YouTube. Um, this site is not just a one-off, okay? There's a place in New Hampshire that has been called by the author Glenn Kreisberg, the Council Rock Mountains. And they have 3 stones at some part in the woods that are in alignment with the winter solstice, and they are megalithic stones. One of them is called the bird stone. One of them is, I think, the altar stone. There's like a turtle stone or something there too, I think. And then they have another one called the cat stone. The cat stone, I mean, it's not identical to the T, but it's like so remarkably similar to the stone I was at yesterday and the stone that I visited last year, that it's definitely from the same people, or the same. It's like it's like its brother. So even the back is pushed to a little bit. It's not as an elaborate headdress on the back as this one, but the shape of the face is like a feline, and the serpentine eye that's closed. It's definitely was from the same people influenced it, and that's the fact that it's not a one-off is very intriguing, because there's other ones like this, and this is the way it is, like a dolmen like that, balancing like that, is intense. And what I felt is like this site, right, that rock, it exists on multi-dimensional scale, like, and it all converges on that moment, like it's anchoring different dimensions on that one spot. It's like hanging there, like it exists in all different dimensions, and at that one spot those dimensions just anchor together, and it's like pulsating, and it's there's ley lines going right through it, underground water, all of that. I caught a glimpse of underground water, all of that near there, and there's water that is right nearby. So I'm pretty sure there's probably other sites that are aligned with this and linked with this that we're not aware of anymore, that are just there waiting to be found. And it's very interesting when you go to these sites and you can feel 5 miles away. I felt an electromagnetic pulse of this place. It's undescribable. You could feel it, and your whole body starts thumping. You feel it, and you could tell you're right on an exact ley line. Like there's no doubt in my mind. So let me see what's in the chat room. Michael Tellinger. Every time I hear Michael Tellinger's name, I think about that Credo Mutwa guy when he was mad at Michael Tellinger, and he's like, Michael Tellinger, how can he be a scientist if he is a racist? I don't know. I guess Michael Tellinger at one time, he kind of miscounted it, like Africa as being as influential as it was to certain things and knowledge it had. So I don't know. It's a long story. But so yesterday during my live stream, I happened to mention, some people were interested about it and had emailed me about it. I happened to mention about Christopher Columbus. Now, connection there being also Columbus Day, right? So Columbus Day is, of course, connected to Christopher Columbus, but it's Cristoforo Colombo. That was his real name. And I come from the Colombo line as well. My grandmother, my mom's mom, maiden name was Colombo, and she had a very mystical, high energy family. And actually, my mom's mom died very young. I never even met that grandmother of mine. Only my brother and sister did. She died in her 50s. My mom died when she was 68. So that family is high psychic energy, and I think that they accumulate things, and it could, if it's not filtered properly, it could turn to cancer and things like that. My mom had a high crazy energy about her, and she was an amazing person. She can get seriously crazy, and she could be the life of the party. She had such great energy. So, um, this Colombo line. Thank you, everybody. This Colombo line that I'm related to. Colombo means dove or white dove, and in mysticism, white dove is very symbolic. It's known for shamanism. It's known in spirituality. Even use the white dove, holy of Jesus, and all of these things, and different saints. So my Colombo line is connected to Christopher Columbus. Somewhere along that line is Cristoforo Colombo. He's from the same areas in Italy as some of my family as well. So people don't know the truth about Christopher Columbus. Now, Cristoforo Colombo was basically an Italian mystic, and he was in a group of Italian Kabbalists. He was practicing the Kabbalah, especially during that time. There was like a revival of some of this, and so he was basically an Italian Jew. He's Italian descent, but he was influenced by some of the Hebrew mysticism. So it doesn't change your DNA. He was an Italian descent, but he was practicing with some Hebrew mysticism, if you want to say. That's the best way you could say it. And at that time, to Christianity and Catholicism and all that, that is heresy, right? And you get killed for that shit. So he had to prove that he was a Christian, and they wanted gold and souls. Prove that, and we won't kill you. You know what I'm saying? So they sent him. He had a deadline to leave Europe, and he left the night before. They were going to kill him if he didn't. So he had to leave and not come back, and he converted some people to Christianity and proved his conversion, and that he's not a pagan. And they wanted him to get some gold. They wanted gold and converts, and he had to leave for that. And what he did was take the Knights Templar route to what's the United States now, and what's the Florida and United States, this whole East Coast here, whatever. I think that's where he first. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly where he first touched down, but he took the Knights Templar routes. I'm sure they were there way before, especially up here in New York. They were here. They were up in Ulster County for sure, up in all up the mountains, looking for sacred Norse and other sacred cultures artifacts. So he either followed Knights Templar maps or some sort of similar maps through secret societies that he had. So I'm not sure where he stopped. I gotta look, but I definitely know through family history and underground Strega lore the reality of who he was, and it doesn't mean he was a bad guy. I mean, at the time he was. I mean, it's crazy times, and he was practicing a form of mysticism that was a no-no to the church, and he was trying to save his ass. So I'm pretty sure he showed up with a cross in one hand and pain in the other, a spear in the other. So yeah, they're pretty much bad people. According that, I mean, to me he's like a dirtbag. Because they probably raped natives and did all types of shit. So who knows? But that is definitely the truth of Cristoforo Colombo, as far as I know. Most people don't realize that he was, he had a deadline to leave, and I'm sure if you guys do your digging, you'll find the real knowledge of it somewhere. But it's freezing out here. I'm freezing. I gotta go run. I'm gonna try to do a live stream later on. Me and my wife are trying to find a new place to live. So right now it's a little rough, but we're gonna pull through and find some place soon. So it's sometimes at night You know, I got the baby and we don't have much space, so I can't. It's hard. So if anybody wanted to contribute equipment as well or donate for equipment, because I want to do my investigations, uh, I need a better camera. I need a laptop. I wanted to have somebody with infrared cameras, something that can, you know, see electromagnetic energy, all sorts of equipment that would make our investigation so much more intense, and I could actually verify some of my visions and claims. So contact me if you have equipment or wanted to donate equipment or something like that. Because definitely that would really help. There's not too many people on the planet that can do psychic investigations the way me and some of my ancestors and some of my relatives and other families like myself that have countless generations of psychic abilities. So when that is passed down, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger every time it's inherited. And so I'll see you guys later. And Spiral out.